All right, on today's episode of the Smash Dell Fantasy Football Podcast, we are welcoming a guest, Mortimus Maximus of the local ponies fame, Crazy Horse, other various names. But yeah, Mort comes on to the show. We're gonna do a little post draft analysis, and that's really what the goal of the podcast is to bring perspective. So, Mort, what's going on?
Well, out
Adjusting
here,
his
yeah,
issue.
it's hard to do the phone thing. But anyway, yep, just looking forward to the humid 90-degree hot weather out in Virginia here.
Yeah, it's definitely been hot all over the place. Really too hot, too fast, I think, for most males. But
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
seriously.
in a couple of weeks, I'll be up there in the Boundary Waters.
Yeah, and then
So,
it'll be in the 40s and 50s. You know that.
yep, but
Yep.
we'll be prepared.
Locals going on a boundary, kind of a deliverance. If you're old enough to remember that movie, he's going up to the Boundary Waters and little now. So
Yeah, there might be some woodcutters up there.
So anyway, they're going to go up there and enjoy that. But before he goes, he's got a little bit of something to say for himself because well, I don't know what he feels, but he tends to make himself of a bit of a Mel Kiper type. So fancies himself a little bit of that, and that's okay because I was just reading. Somebody had graded him. They had graded him out, and to see just how good was he. And it turns out that he really wasn't very accurate.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah,
So
him and Todd McShay.
yeah, so you can go ahead and old Mel Kiper, he parlayed that into some fame, boy. He lucked into that deal and he ran with it. And it doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. He's Mel Kiper and he is the draft guru. He's built himself that facade, even if it's not true. He's a big personality and he has earned himself a lot of money.
Certainly gives a lot of information on each player. That's it's always been helpful, not that it's going to be always right and accurate, but it certainly has helped me at least make a decision here or there.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have that, but our draft went fairly well this year. In fact, I think it was record timing on this one as the draft started with the action draft on Thursday night, and that went really fairly smoothly for the most part, and was over by 9. People lingering, just kind of lingering about there and whatnot. But then you got
Yes.
the rosters populated, and indeed the draft started that evening.
Yes.
Picks were being made.
Yep.
So, and then throughout Friday, Saturday, and Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft made by Meat Curtains was, of course, that Books character out of the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, that's right. That's
Mhm.
right. So, so we can kind of go through this. I mean, for those so far that have been too dumb to be YouTubers, I'm going to pull up. I share this information, and if you only listen to the podcast, you're not getting the full. You're not getting the full treatment, the full service. Um, because what we do here is we share the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the actual draft because we can kind of go take a look at that, and we'll just off the cuff, what are your entering thoughts about your overall feeling of your draft?
Well, I paid a big price, of course, to get what I got, but in the end, I shaved off 3 top players off my team that were aging, and I replaced them with 2 very strong players. So overall, I was very happy. I think think what really tipped it over for me to be really happy is that when Trey Lance fell to me early in the second round. And I was hoping to be able to get quarterback, but because I was toying with whether I should go running back, wide receiver, or running back, quarterback. And but overall, yeah, I think I did pretty well, and looking forward to the year. And I definitely replaced some of the age that I had on my team. So I'm looking
Well,
forward
you're
to.
certainly not an old team. You've shed any age that you may have had already, um, but yeah, I think it was pretty solid. Ian Book, yeah, the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, comes in the 12th pick, indeed, of the fourth round. Um, Man, you go through this fourth round here, and you see Tylan Wallace for Baltimore, Kellen
Go to
Mond, huh?
go to go to reports and then league, and then you'll see draft results, and you can pick uh, the franchise and look at all the picks that that person
Oh,
selected.
sure, yeah, yeah, very good indeed. Um, but if you look at this fourth round, Anthony Schwartz, Browns, Tutu Atwell, uh, um, Rams. You
Yeah,
got Seth Williams for Denver, Kyle Trask, Brevin Jordan in Houston, tight end. I don't know, Simi Fahako. I never heard of him, but Maids of Honor picked that because he paid for the report. Des Fitzpatrick goes in Tennessee, and Gary Brightwell, Chris Evans, Ian Buck. None of these players in the fourth round are going to even start
no,
this year at all. But they're
right.
dart throws, like Seth Williams in Denver. He's phenomenal. Then when he's
Yeah,
bad, he's really bad.
yeah, and just like James Robinson, I mean, so you're hoping that the situation is just right when you pick a guy in the fourth round.
Well,
Like
the
for
other,
example,
yeah,
Chris Evans. Um, I was targeting him. He's now in Cincinnati, and Joe Mixon is 5 years in the league, and so if that when you get up in the age like that, um, Mixon, he might have his turn where he gets hurt and he's out, and then maybe that'll be where Chris Evans will fill in. So that's what I picked him for.
that's my that's my take on Herbert. Even though Montgomery's not 4 years in the league,
Mm.
yeah, I mean that was my argument of saying like round four they don't start, and then Purple of course says that you should have a round four because there's people you can draft, but that's what free agency's for too. But and alluding to the free agency, just so it's clear, it's not a free for all on free agents, because that was brought up today. It is the blind bid. So you have to use your fab dollars, even if you want to bid $1, you have to pay something if you're going
Yep.
to roll the dice on these guys. They're not free. Anybody that you pick up in the preseason, nobody goes anywhere for free. So those will run daily now, and more. Hopefully, we'll get that set up so that it runs every morning on the blind bid. Maybe it's that way right now, but
Yeah. But yeah.
there will be some free agents to be had. Not really any not many this year. This year, there's not as many. Uh, I don't think there's any free agent that I can tell that are going to make a splash anywhere near anything resembling a splash this year in the NFL. However, every year that seems to be the case. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get out of shouty. I don't know if any of you out there, but you can change your draft commentator. You got David, who's kind of sullen. It's like, hey there, it's your draft pick, and so he's real manly. And then you've got Callie. She's more rough. Pick it, bitch. and then you've got Shouty. And I like to use Shouty because he screams at you when there's a pick or when you're on the clock. And so
Yeah.
that's always entertaining as well. So let's go to reports and then we go to records.
No.
No,
Report and then league.
league.
Reports and then league, and then down close 2/3 of the way down, click draft results.
I see where it says auction results.
No,
All
I
right,
should.
there it is. There it is. So there's basically the whole draft right there in front of us.
So right now, I still see your draft room on your screen.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right, let me redo this then. There you go. So right now we're going to go ahead and you can take a look here. Move this over. Crazy Horse it took an hour and 11 minutes. And I think what you guys are going to find is actually I was among the leaders in not taking time, which is the reversal from the trend. But an hour 11 for Mort, ranging all the way to, well, let's see, purple was actually 19 hours in total wait time for purple. So that's not too bad considering fishing and whatnot. But then
Right.
Dale down there at 16 hours too. So less than a minute for laces out. All of his draft picks came in 10 seconds. So he was Johnny on the spot and indeed had the clicker ready to go. So do you want to take a look at some franchises or what are your thoughts here? Do you want to go through the
Well,
front? You want to go through the front? At some point, I want to touch on the auction draft and give my thoughts on that. But
I got you. So I went through each of the teams and did a grade on them, a draft grade. So I'm the Mort Kuiper Jr.
the Mort Kuiper, okay.
So I started off with Smash Mouth, so I might as well go to that one.
Oh, shit. I went purposely to the bottom. All right.
So my opinion, okay, so I looked at his team and it's like, I think his biggest needs was a quarterback too. Did he feel that? No. All right. So other need probably an RB2, a second top tier running back, probably for his team, and a wide receiver. His wide receivers are, they're kind of getting up there in age, although they are good. Robinson and Cooper, he is what he did do in the draft is filled with a very, very solid wide receiver in the first round and Bateman out at Baltimore. So I think overall, he still was looking for that quarterback too in the end, which he did not get, and he might have to fill that next year. But his filling his age for his wide receivers, he did very well with Bateman, and I have to give it an overall grade of a C minus. If he would have picked up a quarterback or maybe one of the higher tiered running backs, probably could have given him a better grade. But was Smash.
Okay. Yeah, and the franchise had a first and 2/3 or three thirds, so somewhat compromised on draft capital, late thirds at that. But so who's the next franchise up there?
Purple.
Right down the list. Okay.
So purple overall, I give him a B minus. He had biggest need of him was a wide receiver 1, and he nailed that and hit a home run with Jamar Chase. He immediately filled that role. So his wide receiver stables has definitely been improved. The other thing is that his wide running backs are questionable. Going into the season, I would be really nervous, wondering, although he's got Josh Jacobs, but it's possible he could have filled a little bit better with his running back situation. But and then lastly on his is his quarterbacks. He's got Daniel Jones, and after that, it's kind of like a hit and miss. So overall, if it weren't for Mort Chase, he probably would have had a much lower grade, but give him a B- with Mort Chase.
The wide receiver, the draft pick I will pick out of there to highlight quickly is at 307. He picked up De'Ami Brown, and that kid is speed and he's electric. And with Terry McLaurin outside and De'Ami Brown projects to be outside as possibly a day one starter to complement him, and he's quite athletic. So they've got Fitz throwing the ball. So arrow pointing a little up on De'Ami as far as a sleeper goes. Elijah Moore, I like the pick out of the Jets. I think he's going to be a PPR hog.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's going to be
and
Zach
to give
Wilson's
him credit,
friend.
to give
He'll be Zach Wilson's friend.
Yeah, to give him credit, for Purple and that franchise, they're in our league, you can start one running back. And so if he's got a strong stable of wide receivers and Josh Jacobs, he'll be able to compete. So overall, you can't really downgrade him for that. But I will say that, he's got Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, and Mitch Trubisky. So going into this, yeah, he probably could have been helped out with a quarterback, but overall, not too bad.
All right.
Yep.
Now we're going on here. We got, is it Just Win, baby?
Yes, Just Win, baby. I'd give him probably a C. He actually did more in the off season with not free agency, but he did trades with Crazy Horse.
Yep.
And so in those trades, he ended up getting Derrick Henry, Odell Beckham, and Mike Evans.
Yeah, he solidified his squad big time there. With those picks, with that draft capital. So
yeah, and so and then taking Amari Rodgers, I had him targeted on my list to draft, and Just Win took him, and so I thought, hey, not too bad. Overall, still a C, but like I said, he filled most of his needs in the off-season trades, and I think he'll have a shot at making a run to make the playoffs. I don't know how deep he'll go, but I think he's overall, like I said, a C. He didn't really have hardly any draft picks, but
no, he only had 2, but he picked up a good receiver in that Amari Rodgers. If it's hard to say with Aaron Rodgers, he could be pretty sweet, but hard to say. His value is compromised a little bit because he indeed may not have Aaron Rodgers. But he did improve himself, like you said, through multiple trades and and traded that draft capital for some stuff. But he's going to compete. There's no question in my mind this year. And then we've got Ragnar's.
Ragnar, I thought, he had one pick in each round, first pick in each round, actually. And he did very, very well with taking Javonte Williams in the first round and Michael Carter in the second round, Kenneth Gainwell, and then Tylan Wallace. Overall, I think I gave him a B. And I think he probably jumped on Javonte Williams because he might have been a little bit disappointed with his first pick from last year in J.K. Dobbins, who didn't really pan out so much. So he did get himself another strong running back to fill his team. Was he? Yeah, and then
yeah, I like the guy. I like Javonte. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. It's going to be Melvin Who after probably week 8 in Denver.
yes,
And then that Michael Carter, stout talent there for the
Oh,
Jets. So he's going to get a lot of play. So
I-
he'll be a flex player before too long.
yeah, I agree. I think he had to take Michael Carter there in the first round.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's not too bad, although I think he's hoping for Dak Prescott comeback. Other than that, he's got Baker Mayfield and Cam Newton, so he didn't really need to take a quarterback in the second round. So, and I think, he might kick himself a little bit by not taking one of the next best wide receivers, because his wide receiver core is getting up there in age for his team, so he might have wanted to pick one of the top receivers going into the second round versus
Yeah, I
wait.
wonder. Yeah, there were a few I think left on the board there that are promising.
Yes, I agree. So, but yeah, overall, he did good with those two running backs. I'd give him a B.
Yep, I like it. I like it. And then we got Chubless in Seattle.
Ha!
No Chubb. No Chubb had 3 picks. He had a 2 seconds and a fourth.
I think I gave him a B because I like St. Brown. Um, going to Detroit, he could emerge as the number one wide receiver there. So with picking kind of in the later part of the second round, he took St. Brown, and that was a very smart pick for where he was in the draft with having 2 picks in the second and one in the fourth. He did pretty well with all 3 of those picks, and he certainly picked himself up a rookie running back that, a quarterback in Mac Jones. And but in addition to that, that was post draft, he made a trade and ended up getting Justin Fields. So in the long run, overall, I give him a B for his first 2 picks. And then Des Fitzpatrick, we don't know what he's going to be, but overall, he's going to have a solid team going into this year.
Yeah, I think St. Brown is going to start alongside Quintus Cephas, and Quintus Cephas is like he's a big, fast, physical receiver. Um, Rookie last year, got him in the fourth round. And I think he actually is going to start and do well because they got rid of their top 5 of 6 pass catchers. And so I think St. Brown has an opportunity to come in and if Goff doesn't shit himself, then
Yeah,
I
and
think it could.
the one thing that is kind of like a little bit that might give him some headaches throughout the rest of the year is he's the one that picked up James Robinson after the draft last year, and that turned out to be a huge win for him. But with the acquisition of Travis Etienne to Jacksonville, that kind of makes James Robinson a little questionable, and so he might have wanted to shore up his running back stable in this year's draft, and he had the opportunity, in the second round to even try to trade both picks and go up. So that's why I give him a B. Possibly could even be a B minus. So
Well, I like the St. Brown pick, but I I don't like Mac Jones there in the second round. I just don't. I think you can get him in the third, but he had mentioned Raymondre Stevenson, the big bruising back who was 250 or 240. Now he's 230. He's lost 10 pounds. He's a beef eater. He's a bruiser. He's like the next LeGarrette Blunt. And he's got an opportunity next year uh, to claim stake on that starter's job. on a poor man's salary. And I thought Half Chubb would take him there as, to shore up the running backs. I think he could have had a little bit more quicker value, as a playable option rather than Jones there.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
I'm surprised he didn't take him there, but anyway, we're going to find out who got Raymondre Stevenson as we go along here. So
Yes.
now we got Boomtown, the Boomtown Rats.
Boomer Nation, quietly, I have to give him an A minus. Going into the draft, he was the last one to get into the draft room, was fumbling. He said he hadn't even done any studying, any research.
My God.
So he probably just went off of the average draft position from some list. But anyway, he ended up, he needed an RB2 or a WR wide receiver 2. And he hit it pretty well with getting Jalen Waddle. And so he added Waddle to his last year's first round pick in Justin Jefferson. So that's a pretty darn good 1-2 punch wide receivers so far on paper for Waddle, of course, but we already know what Justin Jefferson did. And then, early in the second round, he picked up one of the top, arguably the number 2 wide quarterback in Zach Wilson. And so he was definitely wanting to get a quarterback, because he told me, he goes, I know I got Kyler Murray, but after that, it's questionable about Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's clearly questionable with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So overall, and then taking the running back out of Minnesota, that went to Minnesota, Kenny Nwangu, and that was a nice pick in the third round, because we don't know how durable Dalvin Cook may be here going into his 5th and 6th year. So in the end, I think Boomer, he pulled one out of his 4th point of contact, I think, and did fine. I give him an A minus.
Well, I think a guy overthinks too his picks, but yeah, the Jalen Waddle, I absolutely love that pick. I wish that I'd have bid higher on him, because I had him as the number 2 wide receiver in the draft. I had Jamar Chase, and then I had Jalen Waddle staunchly in second place. So I think he could be a game-breaking elite talent, and he gets a slight downgrade for playing with Tua. That's the only reason I really didn't go gangbusters on Waddle, because I think he went for, was it only $55 for Waddle?
Yes.
That's it?
That's what it was. Yep.
So he came off smelling pretty good for the number 2/3 wideout in a super draft. So
I agree. I know.
I probably should have bid him up. I don't know what I was thinking. I quite honestly, I kind of freaked, I guess. So so now we're going to go here, and we've got none other than CC Ball Guy, the Chippendales, if you will, of the Good, Bad, and Ugly League.
CC Ball Guy, yes. Okay. Going into the draft, I think he needed an RB2. And I give him a C minus overall for his draft. And it could be even a C or no, definitely not a C. A C minus, maybe a D plus. He had the one flop of the draft in taking Jermaine Jefferson. I don't know where that guy even came from. So I have to laugh. I hope he knows what he's doing, but I have no idea what that is. But a 1st round guy in Jermaine Jefferson was not even in the top 36 of the draft positions. So,
well,
but
Well,
he made up for himself in Kadarius Toney in the middle of the second round, and so he did need an RB2, and I think he clearly, he hit that one. And then if Barkley goes down again, Gary Brightwell might come in, but I think he could have definitely done a hell of a lot better in the first round than what he did, and still got Jermaine Jefferson probably in the
yeah, he could have ended up probably with a pretty stout RB2 there, but
go ahead.
well, here's what happened. He said, he's on the message board here in the draft chat. He said, because I said, you must have thought Justin Jefferson was still on the board. And he said, I panicked. I didn't think I would nominate another player. So he had nominated already, see, right? And he didn't bid on anybody. He didn't win the bid.
Okay.
He still had another, right?
Yeah.
And
yes,
he could have picked up, for what, $2?
Yeah, he got Jermaine Jefferson for $2.
Yeah. Yeah. He could have had, Michael Carter, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Clearly the number 4 back in the draft. But, Jermar Jefferson, you never know. I mean, he's in Detroit. They let go of Kerryon Johnson there.
Yeah.
And so all they've got is DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams from Green Bay.
Well,
so he's buried there a little bit, but
he does have Jonathan Taylor. So,
he's got Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he picked him up last year. So, well, maybe, but he has Melvin Gordon too. So,
They just drafted Javonte.
So, yeah, like I said, I think he made up for himself with taking the wide receiver in the second round. But
I mean, we're definitely not laughing at Fall Guy. It's just that how it went down was funny, because he just threw somebody out.
We're definitely not laughing at him, but we're laughing now.
Well, yeah, because it's those things. Well, look at that. I'm crying because I broadcasted that I was doing a trade with Bridesmaids, only for Skoll to hear it on the wire and then approach the owner directly and offer him his whole draft if he can pick there. And we knew we had the same guy without even saying anything. Sure enough, he picked Rondale Moore. So it was just a matter of miscommunication among owners, draft day stuff, that happens. So, but Jermar Jefferson will go down in history for sure. So let me go ahead and look at this now. So who do we have left here to dissect, if you will?
Laces.
All right, there we go. Laces out squad.
So Laces going into the draft only had 3 first-round picks, and that's it. For his own team, he has a solid team to begin with, and so he didn't really need so much of really anything. You could argue that his running backs are a little battered, and they might be getting up there in age with Elliott and Mixon and then Barkley. And so he did pretty well picking up Travis Etienne. He really wanted to get Harris, but he ended up with Etienne, and that was really good for his team. So
he went after him pretty hard.
He did, and then
he paid a little bit of capital.
But then to fall off to fill the rest of his team, it's going to be more of a long-term deal for him, because he ended up after drafting Lawrence and Fields, then he made a trade with 2 other franchises for a first-round pick next year, and then with the other franchise, a first-round pick the year after. So he's kind of like, I don't know what that term is called. He's looking forward to the next couple of years. And so in the end, he ended up getting Travis Etienne. not too bad. He got some draft capital going into the next couple of years. I give him an A. Probably the biggest need, the biggest thing he could have made an impact on is taking a Kyle Pitts tight end. And based off what they're all saying about Kyle Pitts anyway. So with 3 picks in the first round and getting only one guy that's going to help his team this year, he could have gotten Kyle Pitts, with one of those other 2 picks. And then, although I still give him an A for gaining draft capital in the future.
Well, a lot of draft capital. He's got 2 first-round picks in each of the next 2 drafts. So to parlay that capital, it was $4 worth of capital that he parlayed. $4 of capital into 2 first-round picks. Now that's about as frugal as you can be as far as capitalizing, drafting those guys at cap. Very smart GMsmanship there. So we don't want to heap too much praise. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to bridesmaids. Now that dude, he said he had to have a quarterback, and he didn't draft one. He didn't go after one in the first round.
Nope.
He didn't go after one in the second round.
He didn't draft a quarterback at all. But what he did do is ended up getting one after the draft in Trevor Lawrence, trading with laces. So he gave up a first round pick next year in order to put Trevor Lawrence on his team. So I give him a B+ overall. His biggest need was quarterback, although he did not draft one. But in the end, he got Lawrence, and he didn't have to pay anything, not even $2. And the second thing I thought he needed was an RB2, and because right now what did he have for a running back?
Well,
DeAndre's.
he needs a body in the backfield.
He needed, and he picked that up with Trey Sermon. So in Sermon, gosh, it's hard to say in San Francisco. I try to stay away from the running backs in that coach's team, because that system is a committee hell.
Community?
Committee running.
Oh, there's definitely some committee. And there they have, of course, Tevin Coleman. And, you look at his, rap sheet, and it, hasn't been stellar or consistent. And then behind him, they've got Mostert, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But Mostert may not be a long burning candle in San Francisco or in the number 1 position. First of all, he can't stay healthy. And so Sermon, I actually have heard that he was valued on
Pretty
some
high.
prognostications as like the number 2 back in the draft. So, maybe even higher. But so we'll see. Maybe not this year, but if he can outlast and be given the chance that he needs to tote the rock and get a good share, then it'll pan out, I think.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
And then he picked up that Pat Freiermuth in Pittsburgh. That dude would have been the number 1 tight end easily in this draft had it not been for Pitts. And he is going to be definitely a good tight end in Pittsburgh, and they use their tight ends. And so he's kind of a Heath Schuler type. Was it Schuler or Miller? Heath Miller.
Yep.
Yeah, athletic, fast, can catch, and again, a few dart throws there at the end. Williams, Jalen Camp. I guess he likes Camp in Jacksonville. There's a lot of receivers in Jacksonville now.
Yes.
And here we're going with Meat Curtains is on the clock.
Meat Curtains, yes. Overall, I give Meat Curtains an A. He had one need in his team. He needed a tough tight end, and he hit the home run on that. And so for that pick alone, he could have left the draft and gave up his other picks and
Yep.
still come out with it. So I think the favorite pick that I had targeted was Ramondre Stevenson, that running back that went to New England. And so, and for me, Curtains to pick him as the 12th pick in the second round, I thought that was right on the money. And then he did a very good job also in taking Dwayne Estridge in the third round, end of the third round. And so overall, definitely an A for, it could be an A plus, I guess. His team is tough. Now it's even tougher. And I think he's going to contend to be one of the two teams in the championships again this year.
Well, it certainly could be true, and Ramondre Stevenson is definitely going to be a back in his stable that's going to grow and not physically. He's toning down, but he's still 230, 235, and he's fast and he likes contact. He likes to take on contact. He's playing for Belichick. Who do you think's going to get the ball inside the 5-yard line? You know, so
Yep.
but Pitts only went for $85. So people
But
had
then
to start thinking of Pitts as a wide receiver,
right.
because I think he was the second graded wide receiver in the draft. So
Yes.
he is generational.
So hopefully, hopefully Atlanta will use him to his first round potential. They got Calvin Ridley there, and then Julio Jones, and so there's not a lot of targets, to be spread around that much. So we'll see. Hopefully, Pitts will turn out. But for me, Curtains, like I said, that he's got a pretty solid team, and if it works out, he's going to be really tough to beat. If not, he's still going to be one of the top contenders.
Yeah, well, the Falcons, I think, still have Hayden Hurst, right?
Yes. Wait, did he go?
Who do they have? Whoever they had, they declined his to re-up his contract, so he's done after this year. He's out of
Yes,
there.
Hayden Hurst is still in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a big time signee. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good tight end. He's a very good tight end. Hayden Hurst is a very good tight end. And so he's going to be going somewhere next year, because obviously Pitts he's going in this year.
Mm-hmm.
So good pick on the Ramondre. He went where he should have went. But like I said, had I been half Chubb, I would have sprung for him at about 210, because I think he could have used him there. But all right, and now who do we got left here?
Oh,
Who?
Skull. Very bottom.
Yeah, what happened to Skoll here? We got to get Skolls on board here.
Ha!
All right, Skoll right now is as we speak. He arrived at Baudette last night. He's up at Lake of the Woods till Thursday. Tried to effort him on as a guest, but he said indeed the reception may be sketchy up among the islands, and so he is probably going to be listening though. So be kind to Skoll.
Well, I'd like to be kind to him. He needed a quarterback or a running back. He's got two quarterbacks on his roster, Josh Allen, Ryan Tannehill. And yes, they're two of the top quarterbacks in the league, which is good. The reason why I say he probably should have gotten a quarterback is, for that matter alone, that he only has two. In case one of these guys goes down, then he has none. He's going to be looking on the free agent market. And pick up a guy like Kyle Trask, which is he's already gone as well. So probably could have taken a quarterback at flyer in the third round, but I didn't see, or in the second round, he might have been able to pick up that Mac Jones at 2.8 and then been all right. Although he took Rondale Moore, which is solid. I think he will probably be kicking himself going into this year with that pick versus not probably would have taken a running back myself. He's probably got one of the weaker running back cores in the league. And I think he might have been able to take that Ramondre Stevenson and set himself up a little bit better. But overall, he only had one pick for the whole draft. So I give him a D-. I can't say I think he could have done better.
Well, as far as touching on Rondale Moore, I actually was efforting him as well, and because the dude, when he's on the field, he's the most exciting player on the field. Now he has had some issues. I mean, he only played I think 17 games. Because he was hurt for one full year and half another year, and so he broke out 2 years ago. And so he's a slot guy, so it'll be DeAndre Hopkins, and it will be Christian Kirk, and it will be the new guy AJ Green, and then you'll have Rondale Moore and Kirk coming out of the slot. So
he's 5'7", 181.
He's a small dude, but he can squat like 600 pounds.
You better be fast.
Oh, he's fast. That's what he brings, is speed and quickness. It's just that he has to avoid contact,
Yeah.
and he's going to have some work to do to get up into that to be valid, because look at the receiving core there,
But at 5'7" and 181 pounds, I doubt that there's much fat on him at all. He's got to be a monster at 5'7".
Yeah, he is. He is. He looks like a 5'7" DJ Metcalf. That's DK Metcalf. That's what he looks like, dude. So the dude's strong and he's fast. So hopefully he can do something. It's just that you've also got Gus Edmonds there and James Conner. They're targets as well as the other three. And I haven't even mentioned the tight end yet, so which they don't use much. So he's like the number 6 target there, number 5. But he could work his way in there. I mean, if he can stay on the field, he's a difference maker. So he's worth a dart throw. And Skoll, he didn't care about his other second, third, or fourth round pick. He just didn't see anyone he was interested in those rounds. And I had to concur. I had to agree that I didn't either. So it remains to be seen. Last year, 2 starters out of the 3rd round, none out of the 4th round. One of them was a part-time starter, was Jalen Hurts, who got him he was a 3rd round pick. And the other guy that started a little bit was Laviska Shenault on a part-time basis. Otherwise, there were no starters in rounds 3 or 4 last year. It'll remain to be seen in this year's draft how that plays out. But now we got to go to the Crazy Horse franchise. Now let's see if he's even being objective here. But
well, I will.
Picks. How many picks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more picks. You've had 18 picks in 2 years.
Yes. And it cost me a lot too. And so maybe I'll take the word me out of this. Looking at that franchise, they did a lot of off-season trades and shed off a lot of age. And it was questionable whether it was a good move to get rid of Derrick Henry this year, but he did, and he ended up getting a 1st-round pick for that. And then he also gave up Odell Beckham, who's been kind of a disappointment. lately, but still a big name, and he needs to start living up to that name. But that crazy horse said to hell with it. Get rid of the old guy and Mike Evans, who he's like a boom or bust guy on every other weekend. And so trading away a lot of the age this year and age from last year, he picked up 9 picks. And so the good part about this year's draft that I see is that he had 5 picks in the first 17 overall picks. Needed an RB1 because he gave up Derrick Henry in a trade, and so he hit a home run in getting Najee Harris. So he definitely replaced Derrick Henry, possibly. And then he also did very well by picking up Devontae Smith. And so arguably the second best wide receiver on the board, and arguably probably one of the top 4 players of the draft completely. And then his the 3 picks in the second round were all in the first 5 picks. And the thing that really stood out to me is Trey Lance. And I was like so hoping he would fall, and he did. And I couldn't pass that guy up. Chuba Hubbard, it's kind of a dark horse there, because the only thing you're banking on with that one is if McCaffrey goes down. Terrace Marshall's not too bad, solid. Maybe he'll be the wide receiver 2 in Carolina. Who knows? But the rest of the picks were all based off of looking at the team's age of the other wide receivers, like in Houston. And then Chris Evans pick up with the aging, Joe Mixon. So I thought based off of the first 3 picks overall, I'll leave it up to you to what grade you'd give to this franchise. But I know the owner is pretty happy and filling the needs that he gave up in the pre-draft trades. So.
Well, you did well. The only concerning thing would be the draft capital expended, which I believe was it was an all-time record for Devontae Smith for sure, and Najee as well. But having said that, yeah, definitely solid. Najee is going to be, I mean, he should be ready to go right off the get-go here. And then Devontae Smith, he threw for 1 year, took catches from Jalen Hurts, but the thing is there's some risk there because nobody knows if Jalen Hurts is going to be given the reins. Okay. And let's say that he is. He's young. He's only played 4 games. And so, he was a bit of a project coming in. Yeah, he's got talent. He's athletic. He can throw the ball 70 yards. He can run. His accuracy, is a little bit, with Devontae Smith, you have to be a little accurate because, he can do contested catches, all day long, but the ball has to be near him because he's not going to separate 5 yards, So I think the ceiling is pretty high for Devontae, and I think going in, they've got Jalen Rieger really is all they have, and can't even name a second guy. So I think Smith, with that draft capital, should line up right off the bat.
Hopefully, the one thing that going into the draft, when Mort Chase went to Cincinnati, that made the T. Higgins pick from last year, a little more iffy this year. And to include the Marquise Brown first round pick from a couple of years ago with the addition of Rashad Bateman. And so that made Marquise Brown a little less valuable in my opinion. So going into the draft, I was really hoping to get Jamar Chase and Rashad Bateman, and I didn't get any of them. And so that that made me really want to jump on Najee Harris and Devontae Smith. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and then again, you picked up Lance, bit of a project, but the measurables are, there. I mean, he's fantastic athlete. He's got a great arm. I think they're going to go ahead, and I believe that Garoppolo is going to take the first snap when the season kicks off and they roll out the first team offense. I believe it'll be Garoppolo doing that, but I can't say for sure. He may be even gone by then.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
what is exactly going to be the deal?
If any of these first 5 picks don't pan out, I've got 5 picks in the next year's draft, first 2 rounds also.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah,
So after next year, my team should be set for 3, maybe 4 years. It should be.
oh,
Should
easily,
be.
easily,
Might even be
easily,
after this year.
easily. And that's how the draft will change um, as time goes on, as teams
Yeah.
become more infused with talent each year. Because it's only our second year, right? Or is it third year?
3rd year for auction,
Yeah,
right?
third year. So really, we've only had 2 years to propagate our teams.
Yeah. So it's
So you give
I
it
think
this year and next year, that's
yeah.
5 years. Okay. So you should be able to determine, what you've got after 5 years.
Yes.
Um, I like Terrace Marshall. I really had him on my draft board, but I didn't have any second round picks, so I knew he was going to be gone. I mean, he's top 5 in this draft pick. He's got elite talent. They've got Rodney Anderson and DJ Moore there, and McCaffrey, but Terrace Marshall will play in 3 wide receiver sets, and he will catch the ball from hopefully one Sam Donaldson, Sam Darnold.
Yes. That would be the big question mark, but we'll
But
see.
I love the pick. I just wish he would have went somewhere where he could have competed for a number 2 role.
Mhm.
Might be a couple years, but I think he's worth a stash for sure. Josh Palmer is kind of a great talent in for the Rams. He's a great athlete. Guy's got, I mean, he's an NFL receiver all day long. It's just that what kind of opportunity is he going to get there? He's
Right.
going to have a pecking order to peck through there, and he's got the talent to emerge there and start. Then Nico Collins, he's a great talent in Houston. Big guy,
All
great,
guy in the draft this year.
huh?
Was he 6'4"? He was the tallest wide receiver in the first 36 anyway. He's 6'4".
Yeah, he's a
So
big receiver, huge catch radius. Uh,
yeah.
so he's got some competition in Houston, but it isn't like it's a ton, you know, because
Yep.
they traded Will Fuller, so he's gone.
Yeah. That's why when I looked at Houston, it's like, oh God, Nico Collins is, if he hits it in training camp and that, he might be able to take the wide receiver 2 role.
Well, it's not a bad pick in the third round. First third of the third round there. Tutu Atwell, he's like 150 pounds, 5'7", 160 pounds. He goes down with the faintest contact. He's like a human joystick. He's quick. He's faster than hell. He's a human highlight reel, but he's 160 pounds and he's 5'7". So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
manufacture touches for a guy like that. The guy's a great athlete, but dude, he's a
Yeah.
he's a midget.
Man.
He's even smaller than Rondell Moore.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah,
We'll see. Yeah, I wasn't really hoping to go gangbusters with that guy. Maybe he'll do something, but he might be a bye-week filler. Might need
Yeah,
him for that.
at best, probably, if he makes indeed your final 29. I would say B plus, Mort, on that, considering the draft capital that you expended in as well to go along with these picks. You've got what they say is a generational receiver there in Devontae
Yes,
Smith, um, and Najee Harris can play Steeler ball all day long, and he's an upgrade over James Conner. And you had James Conner at one point.
I did. Yes,
You traded away when he was doing very well, and now he's in Arizona as a 1B to Chase Edmonds.
yes, yep. You're
So
totally right.
that kind of wraps up the draft, folks. As far as that goes, I don't know if you had any more sleepers in there to go over there, but I think we've covered a lot of. I mean, we had a lot of draft night trades. First,
Yes,
second round trades going on. I mean, it was. I mean, the two of the top three quarterbacks were traded on draft night. So um, this was a very strong year. Only it was really a 2 round year, really, for somebody who's going to have really an opportunity. The third and fourth rounds, they're all dart throws there this year. So um, hoping next year is a little bit deeper. What have you heard on next year?
I took a quick look and I didn't see that. In fact, actually, I think there's going to be more wide receivers in the first round than this year.
Wow. Well, that seems like it would turn out to be quite a wide receiver class then,
Yeah.
because this is a pretty good one.
No, when I was looking at it, um, yeah, I, another run of quarterbacks. I think I haven't. I looked at it once and I thought, oh, okay, but then it didn't seem that spectacular. But yet, with this COVID stuff, we haven't really heard too much about anybody. So going
No,
into
we haven't.
anything.
But the quarterbacks next year, you know, you're gonna have, four solid ones again.
Yeah.
It looks like so. One of them in the Justin Fields mold. Then you've got somebody in the Zach Wilson mold. There's some guys coming out next year. So if you didn't do it this year, don't be discouraged because there's always next year. So
Yeah.
cut down date is the actual date of the NFL cut down date. So stay tuned on that in September to your
Okay.
29. Uh, if you listen to the podcast, make sure you click follow in order to get all of the golden nuggets that we provide here on
Yeah.
a semi regular basis. Try to have a minimum of 2 podcasts a week, if not 3, and then have various guests. So we will go ahead and effort some more guests on here. But there are still a couple. Let's see. There still actually is a couple of dart throws that I'm going to make on free agency. Probably, and then I end up undoubtedly cutting them. You know, they've got like some flyer ability and some value, so you pick them up. But when
Yep.
you only got 2 or 3 slots.
I released Sony Michelle, so you all can go and get on him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I end up looking at these guys and saying, "Oh man, he's really got potential," but they need
So
opportunity, and they, come time training camp
yeah,
ends, you end up releasing most free agents that are picked up now are released unless you have a lot of holes.
Sony Michelle was my first round pick of a couple of years ago, and he turned out to be a flop. And that was I should have had lesson learned, knowing that any running back that goes to New England is going to be a flop. But that that pick, it just was very disappointing. And so ever since then, even the last couple of years, I have not gotten that number one running back. And I've made that comment to a few other people that, I'm gonna get the number one running back this year. And yes, it most definitely cost me, but at least I
Yes, you did.
can.
You did get you did get the number one pick, and Daniel Snyder or Al Davis you wrote the check, and
Yeah,
let's go ahead and purchase that franchise tonight. And
yeah,
you've got a few years to try to win, at least third place to recoup some of that capital, which I think you will.
yeah.
Perhaps, although perhaps not. You're a slow starter. We'll see what happens next year. So you better come out of the gate fast, because you come out of the gate in a hole, and you got a long way to go in this league. So
Oh my
uh,
gosh. I was one game short last year. Otherwise, I would have
you
won
were
the
one
prize.
game short, and you would have run the table had you gotten into the playoffs.
Yes.
Um, I looked at my score. I got beat 199 to 164. My score was the highest score in the playoffs outside of meat curtains in the championship of any game. So I, the karma wasn't. All signs were pointing to me winning again. The signs were pointing again. That is, and once again, was not able to pull the proverbial rabbit out of the hat. It's been since 2007, but it's been an interesting podcast. I think we're going to start to wrap it up, Morty. Unless you have some other comments, I think I'm going to go. I seems like I've misplaced my Budweiser, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And
All
make
right.
sure that you guys listen to it on the YouTube channels. Just search Smash Dell Fantasy, and it'll be the number one show on YouTube listed there. So go ahead and do a listen, and subscribe and hit the bell. And let's do it again, Mort. Let's a couple weeks. Let's get on after
Yep.
things shake out, and go at it
After
once
cut down
again.
day, maybe we can talk.
Pardon me.
After cut down day, maybe we can revisit.
After cut down day, we're going to revisit again. There'll be a little mull here, but we're going to kind of keep on top of things. So keep listening, folks, and we'll check you out next time.
All right.